My grandfather was dying, and my cousins wanted to keep all his money. My grandfather was always a very hardworking man. Over time, he began selling small houses and eventually large mansions. This is how he built his enormous fortune, but he was always busy and never had a great relationship with his 3 children. He was tough on them and didn't want them to be good for nothing, so he supported just their education.
You have to earn your way in this life. You have my support, but from here on out, you're on your own.
My cousins and I visited him often, but he was always a bit cold and scolded us for everything.
Get down from there, you fools!
Unlike my grandfather, my grandmother was the most loving person in the world.
Your grandpa loves you a lot. He just doesn't say it very often.
My cousins were the oldest, so I followed them everywhere and did everything they told me to do. They teased me for being the youngest and the spoiled one of the house.
Hey, what is that?
One day we were playing and we went into my grandfather's room.
Open that drawer.
Wow, a climbing harness.
Grandpa said you can take some money.
That makes sense. Sometimes he would give us money to buy candy.
What are you doing in my room?
We told him not to do it!
After that, my grandfather no longer trusted me. I ended up looking like an idiot, and my cousins came out as the good guys in the story.
Here, kids, buy yourselves something. Not you, so you learn not to take what's not yours.
He will never love you again, ha ha ha. And if you tell him anything, he won't believe you.
Shut up. He will love me again someday. Time passed, and my grandfather forgot about the incident. Our relationship returned to normal, but it didn't last long.
I'm sick, but it'll pass soon.
My grandmother left this world a week later, and my grandfather was never the same. He already had a bad temper, but now you couldn't talk to him without being humiliated.
Everyone in this family is a bunch of good-for-nothing fools. It seems like none of you have ever even changed a tire in your lives.
But I knew he was very hurt by my grandmother's death. She was his first love and had been his wife for over 50 years. I kept going to my grandfather's house all the time to help him and keep him company. I knew deep down he loved me. Very, very deep down.
Kid, you aren't any dumber just because you aren't any taller.
But since he stopped giving us money, my cousins stopped visiting him.
He doesn't give us money anymore. Why would we want to visit him? I hope he dies soon.
They only showed up at Christmas to get their presents. I didn't like those attitudes, so I stopped hanging out with them as much. My grandfather became my best friend. I really enjoyed listening to his crazy stories.
I saw an alien on the highway once, and another time, I forgot your dad at the store. Ha-ha.
My dad never told me that. Ha-ha. But one day, I noticed my grandfather was quieter than usual.
Son, I'm not going to the office today. Go run some errands for me.
He didn't want to leave the house at all, and I didn't know what was wrong with him.
Son, I have to tell you something.
What happened, Grandpa?
I only have a few months left to live.
Damn it, why aren't grandparents eternal? I had to break the news to the family. It was tough, but my cousins had other plans. The next day, I arrived at my grandfather's house as usual.
Here we are, Grandpa, your favorite grandchildren.
I'm so glad to see you.
My cousins, who hadn't set foot in that house for years, started coming every day as soon as the news of his illness spread, and I thought they regretted not visiting him all that time and wanted to make up for lost time. It's so good to have you here. Grandpa misses you a lot.
Yes, we missed him too.
But I found it odd that from that day on, they never left the house. They would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner there every day. Why are you suddenly here so often?
Why do you care? We need to find the will and make sure he leaves us the entire inheritance.
I got very angry when I heard them and ran off to tell my grandfather, but before I could speak...
There you are, son. It's good that your cousins are coming to see me. I really miss them.
Right, we love you very much, Grandpa. Rest now. I couldn't take away his hope of having a united family, but I wasn't going to let my cousins take advantage of him. In his final days, he couldn't recognize people very well. I was afraid he would die feeling alone and forgetting about me and how much I loved him.
Mark, Albert, Alex, whatever your name is, you're the best grandson of them all.
Rest well, Grandpa. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
But there was no tomorrow. That night he went to bed and didn't wake up.
We are here to bid farewell to Joe Smith.
Go hug your cousins. I'm sure they're very sad.
Did he sign the document? Yes, last week. The old man almost caught on. We did it, haha.
I couldn't believe it. My poor grandfather hadn't even cooled down, and they were only talking about the inheritance money. I thought they would change in the end, but they remained the same jerks. Family, I would like to say a few words about my grandfather. He was a good man, honest, and fair.
We need to find the will and make sure he leaves us the
We are
entire
here to bid
inheritance.
farewell.
And these worthless people are trying to take all the inheritance money. They haven't seen him in years, and now suddenly they claim to love him.
More respect, we're at a funeral.
How can you say that?
We were always there for him.
Liar!
Your grandfather would be ashamed to hear you.
I looked like a crazy person in front of my whole family. I told them about the document, but nobody believed me. My uncles stopped talking to me for accusing their children.
You should be ashamed of yourself for making this up.
Today is the reading of your grandfather's will.
You guys go. I don't want to be part of this hypocritical family anymore.
Son, we have to go out of respect for your grandfather.
Does anyone have anything to declare before we begin the reading of the will?
We have this letter signed by my grandfather stating that we will be the owners of all his fortune.
What? I told you so, and you humiliated me, mocked me, and now there's nothing we can do.
Order in the room. Now I will begin the reading of Joe Smith's last will and testament.
Dear family, first, I want to thank everyone for being here. My children, daughters-in-law, and my beloved grandchildren. I may not have been the most loving father, but I never wanted to spoil you with unnecessary luxuries. You have learned the value of hard work, and for that, I am very grateful. Keep it up. To my grandsons, Robert and Alex, I know I wasn't an easy person, but it seems like you only remembered you had a grandfather when you found out I was sick and had to write the will. Did you think I wouldn't notice? And to my dear grandson, Mike, despite my grumpiness, we had the best times, and for that, I will always be grateful.
Yes, very nice and all, but we have the signed letter, so excuse us. Do as you please.
That signature can't be real.
Mr. Lawyer, do something. It can't be that these two fools are going to get away with everything.
I'm sorry to say that the signature on this document is legitimate,
It's impossible.
but I haven't finished reading the entire will yet.
I know my health won't return, so I'll make sure no one tries to be clever. From this moment on, no document with my signature after today's date will have any validity whatsoever.
What? It can't be, that old bastard.
How could you do that?
You're a disgrace to the family.
Run!
My grandfather ended up leaving all his money to a foundation, and he left me his huge house. Thank you, Grandpa.